Record. Right, welcome to the weekly crypto market dominances and Bitcoin and some review of some altcoins. Um, this is not financial advice, just what we're seeing and sharing. So take with a pinch of salt. Yeah, do your own research and be accountable for your own trades. So let's have a look at this Bitcoin dominance here on the weekly chart. So been going sideways a bit. We try to go up, and we are at the present moment being sent back down on this candle. If we go to 4 hours, we see something here where you're getting a rejection back down. I think if this 4 hour candle closes below the 50, you'll go down some more. And I think that's probably likely what happens because there's a lot of liquidity sitting on this candle and market makers don't like it sitting. So like for here, you can see they took it all back before you did whatever you had to do. So you'd expect that this will probably come back down. And when it comes down, that will potentially go into the daily, and the daily, this becomes red, right? And this comes down here and becomes red, which means you're on your way to the next level, which is down here, which is where we're expecting here. Another touch. We expect another touch on this trend line that we've got. So if I just, you'd expect a touch here, and we expect another touch on this here, which probably might bring us to somewhere here around the 55, 56, 57 zone. Then at that point, you could have a meaningful bounce to the other side. So that's what we're seeing at the moment. So the 4 hour close is going to be really important. This 4 hour close is going to be important. If it closes red, then potentially more likely you're coming down. If it closes where it is now, it's still going to push us slightly down. If we go to the 12-hour chart and see what's going on there. So again, yeah, so you can see here MACD is ticking down, the RSI is in the negative, is below the signal line. So you would expect this to continue coming down. There's liquidity here which they need to take. So I'd expect this to continue coming down. So let's go then and go and have a look at um, the crypto total market cap excluding the top 10 coins and see what's going on there. So you can see here as well, you've had a drop there, you had a drop here, and you seem to kind of come back into the wick and you're bouncing away. We need to clear this 50. We need to clear this 50 SMA. If we close above this 50 SMA, we're going for higher prices. If I bring it to the daily chart, we've had this pink candle, which normally tells me that you're likely to go down a bit more, but it's also a sign that selling pressure is also drying out. Yeah. So selling pressure is drying out. So, it's possible that you end up going the other way first before you come back for this, very likely. So it all depends on how the weekly closes. And at the moment, you're getting a rejection of lower prices here. So if this closes green, we're going for higher prices. If it closes red, more likely you'll come down to the base. So that's what I'm seeing at the moment. So close green here, go for higher prices. Close red, most likely come back to the base somewhere here around the 0.1154 on this dominance chart for the others. And if you look at the others dominance, which we've been tracking as well, again, this one looks much more positive. I think we are above the middle of the KC channel on the weekly chart, which which suggests that we are in a strong area. So if we close above it, we are in a strong area. Until we close below the middle of the KC channel, we are still in a strong territory. And if we close below it, negative territory, and you come back to the base here, you likely come back to the base. So the close of the week is very important. If it closes above, still strong. If it closes red, like this, as we are here, I'd expect at least for us to push in up a bit more before, even if we're going to collapse, we collapse. Um, so key would be whether we close above this and also what color of candle do we close. I mean, if you go to the 4 hours, we're getting some strong bounce on it. So if it continues like this, then you end up probably with a green candle on the weekly chart. So I will probably have to provide an update on Monday morning on this to see how it looks like. I think if you ask me, I'd probably say it closes green. But we this is just a prediction, and until it closes, the direction is a bit uncertain at the moment. So um, ideally, I think based on this pink candle, you go up first. So that's my bias anyway, but I'll have a look at it on Monday to see what it looks like. So let's move on and go and look at I want to look at the Bitcoin CME chart. It's one that's always been helpful in terms of predicting what likely to happen because it's a closed chart, so you can see, and then you can then come and compare it to the Binance chart to see what's going on there. So you can see here you had a drop and a rise, and here you have a drop and a rise, right? So we'd expect another drop, okay? And hence why obviously this box has been drawn here. This is a red candle, and we closed also red, but this one was 109,225, 109,270. So we didn't close below it, but the volume was very tiny. Volume of selling here was very tiny. So uh, I am still expecting that we will come here into this box. I'm still expecting this box for us to come into this box. What will invalidate that would be if, for example, price was to close firmly above here. So if we closed above it, daily close, I mean, a daily closing candle above the 114,370, then you're going for higher prices. That's the only thing that would change in terms of us not coming down to this zone here. So that's what we'll be watching on this chart. Let's lock that in. And we can benchmark it for next week. And then let's move on to the Binance perpetual chart and see what's going on there. So you can see the difference, right? So here on Friday, this is Thursday. Friday was this closed green, the other one closed red on the CME chart. And this week we've gone nowhere really. It's just been probably at the same place really. From literally from Friday, nothing is happening, right? Um, however, oh, let me bring the other one, the actual Binance Perpetual, right? This one. However, there's a lot of liquidity on this candle here. There's a lot of liquidity on this candle, and there's some also at the top here as well. Here, there's a little bit at the top here, and this is the middle of the liquidity zone, middle liquidity zone, which has to be taken at some point. And then you got your big liquidity zone, which is sitting at the top here. So it's possible that we grind into it, take some of the liquidity from here, and then come back down and finish the move down here. So, and take this liquidity. I mean, this liquidity is the one that I think will give us the impetus to go up somewhere around, between here, which is 101, and all the way up to, 104, 105K. This zone, if you see something like this, if we zip here and you see something like this forming, this sort of setup where you have a green candle, fake out green candle, that's your cue that the fall is over and you'll be going for higher prices because that would have given us one level two, and this would become our third level drop, which we've been waiting for. So that's what we're seeing. Potentially, I think we go and take the some liquidity off here, and then after that, cascade down to kind of finish the fall here. So that's our prediction on Bitcoin. Slight move to the upside here. However, let's caveat that it can happen. However, should we close a weekly close above here, above 100 and 112, 600? If you close above weekly close, or sorry, daily close above 113, 500, any close above that means the trend is changed. You're not going to get your third drop. This is all you're going to get. And it's just kind of a lower high for this, and you'll be going up. So that's the key here that we'll be monitoring. Um, we could also potentially get something like a fake out like this, where you had a fake out, huge candle that goes all the way and crosses all the way, closes above everything like this one here, close above it, and then you don't confirm, and then you cascade down. So that's also something to watch, right? So we could have a close, which is above this, but you need to confirm, right? And the confirmation candle would be another green, which holds above the middle of the KC channel. The moment you confirm above the middle of the KC channel, so close above this candle and confirm, stay above the middle of the KC channel, and that'll be good. And then you can say, okay, we're going for higher prices. So that's something we'll be watching as well. Now let's have a quick look at some of our coins and see what's happening on them. Let's start with Tier BTC. So this is Tier BTC, uh, and you can see here what you've got is almost like we've gone slightly lower. So you can see here this was the low formed in July, and we've gone lower. We've gone slightly lower, and you can see here that the RSI here at this point is lower. This is higher than this. So you do have a divergence, although price has gone lower than this, the RSI is higher. So which is a positive. Okay. What we're looking for is now a divergence, really. You want a divergence like you had here. So we're looking for a divergence to give us confirmation and of whether that's the end of it, and that's all you're gonna get. If I bring it to the 12-hour chart, it's very similar. Again, if you look at this point here, and this was your kind of base for here, right? And look at this, we've gone slightly lower, and look at where your RSI is higher than that. So there's a divergence as well on the 12-hour chart as well. If we look at the weekly chart itself, there's also the divergence on the weekly chart. So we are definitely going to close red, okay, on the weekly chart. So there's a potential for us to go slightly lower first before you go up. So, but the RSI is still higher. So what you see here, this was your low point on RSI, and look at where we are. So we can go slightly lower first, and that'll be, us going for higher prices on tier basis BTC. So that's what we'll be looking for going into next week is maybe potentially go down slightly lower, create a divergence, something like that, and then continue the leg to the upside would be what we'd say on this chart. Let's move on to tier USD and see. I think we're using the BitGet one, the Bybit, sorry, the Bybit. Yeah, that's the one we use. So again, what you can see here is we seem to have some form of like a double bottom, right? So it's not a perfect double bottom, but I mean, this one was 1335. This one is 1334. So this one is going slightly lower than this. And if you go and compare the RSIs, what you see is look at the RSIs here. And so, the RSI is still higher. Okay. So we have some form of a divergence between this candle here, this zone here, and that. But I think this week will close triple red. So red here, red here, red here, which suggests that you could potentially be going down slightly first, a slight low, then to continue to go up. So maybe, somewhere between, I would say between 110 and 115, 110 and 120, that zone, we can draw a box somewhere between 120. Anything below here and somewhere there, 15, 110. Somewhere here. I think that's what you would expect. We'll come there and then we'll go back up. There's also a potential that when we close, we try to come up, come up, come up, and come all the way, maybe to even all the way up to say somewhere here. So we'll put a come and test the bottoms here. First come and test these bottoms here first, right? So that takes you to about 155, 159, somewhere there, and then cascade down to come back here to then form your divergence before you go up. Yeah. So those are the two options. We close here, we potentially bounce back up first before you go down, or you go down immediately, create a divergence, and that'll be the end of it, and you keep on going up. So that's what we're seeing on Celestia. Let's move on to ETH. So ETH BTC. So this weekly chart, we're going to close red. And again, um, one would say that when we close red, potentially you can go back up again. So go back on it before you come down and retest somewhere here. I think so. I would expect the ETH after bouncing slightly up. So we can bounce to somewhere around here. Yeah, bounce to somewhere there, retest that, and then come down and finish the move and then continue the leg to the upside. So let's lock that in and then we'll see how we do next week. Let's go on to the USD and see what's happening on the USD. So again, we had this box here and we said Ethereum would come to 3.8. Okay, we are there. So that changes the story slightly for me on the weekly chart, on this USD chart. It's coming to the zone here and it could go slightly lower, maybe poke below here, maybe 3,650, and then you'll be on your way back up again. I wouldn't expect this to collapse back here at all. No. If we go to the daily chart again and have a look at the daily chart, we have a very big selling candle here. So you would expect this candle to be exceeded at some point. So, it's most likely we come all the way, like I said, come all the way back up, come all the way back up and test this daily 50 SMA or the middle of the Bollinger, which is sitting around 4,369. Test that and then continue your leg and come one more time down, then go up would be what we say. Or alternatively, we come down and then create the divergence before we go because that is the sort of setup we trade. So that's what we see on the Ethereum. If you bring it even to the 4 hours, have a look. So on 4 hours, we have, we formed the base here. So oversold here, oversold there. Um, and so you'd expect one more. I'd expect one more of this to be formed down. So, that 3-6 zone becomes a possibility where actually our lower band of our box is tested before we get going. So daily close, expect us to, slightly go higher, take some of the liquidity around this particular candle here. If you bring it to the weekly chart, it could go all the way up to the top here. I will probably move this slightly to somewhere there. Yeah. So these tops now become resistances. Yeah. So, yeah. So ETH tries to go for somewhere there. And if you bring it to the daily, you can see where that is. Yeah, so it tries to come back up here, gets rejected, and completes the leg to the downside, and then we can go for shebang. Okay, so that's Ethereum. Let's move on and look at Solana. So Solana, you'd expect we have a divergence on Solana on the daily chart, which is interesting. There's a divergence here. Okay, if you bring it to the weekly chart, it's come or exactly to the middle of the KC channel. I would expect this to go back up. You know, I would expect it will be probably something like this, where you would expect that we just go back up on it rather than continue the leg to the downside. But yeah, I don't be surprised to see also that Solana hits somewhere. I won't be surprised. This was our line that we drew between here and here somehow. So we've come into it. So we can unlock this now and move this slightly up. I'll move it a little bit up to somewhere here and say it's a potential that you could get a zip down here to somewhere around the 181, 182 zone before you go. Let's lock it in. But I would expect that we will be coming towards the upper ends here of Solana by towards the end of the week. We'll be kind of ripping back up. So that's what we've seen on Solana, and let's move on to Aave. So I think the Aave call has been pretty on point. That it wasn't looking strong on the weekly, and therefore we're going to come down. We've come and exceeded our line. We exceeded where we felt we would come to. We've touched the 50 on the weekly, and I think we might just break it slightly and then continue the leg to the upside. Would be what I say. So if you bring it to the daily chart, we have this big volume selling here. We have this huge selling candle here, and you would expect that will go below this candle. So, and we'll go below slightly, then continue the leg to the upside. So it's still there's some opportunity for this to go down slightly first. So let's move this candle of ours to somewhere here, somewhere there, and then let's lock it in as at the potential area for it to fall to. Okay. Um, and then let's move on to the next pair, IMIX. So IMIX has been doing some crazy numbers, which is great. So we had a good daily close here, and we seem to be having a red. Let's go to the weekly and see. So we had this beautiful red volume, went all the way close to $1, and now we've sold all the way back down to 65, and now we're trying to go. Um, Now, if we close like this, I would say there's a potential for us to come slightly lower first before going up, but it's looking really strong. On the daily chart, we've got quite a good close here, and one would expect that you continue going up. If you go to 4 hours or 8 hours, we are above the middle of the KC channel, strong area. 4 hours likely to close green and start going back up again. So I think this one looks stronger, and I think I would say there's a potential for IMIX to continue going up. There's a potential for IMIX to continue going up rather than coming down. It looks much more stronger. Um, so, and the monthly close is also looking good. It's most likely will close this month green, and if you close green, you come down. Maybe there's a small pullback, and then you continue going up. So I think IMAX is one of the strongest coins at the moment that I've seen so far on its setup. Even on the monthly chart, it looks really, really strong. So it's looking good. And then render, if we look at render, so render is forming that sort of candle where there's a lot of selling pressure, but you know the candle body is like somebody's absorbing the selling. It's not going anymore. This candle had to be exceeded, and we've just done that. So that's the month. The month is not closed. And if you go to the weekly, we're going to close red. And if you close red, you can expect a really strong bounce back the other side first and then go down. It's two things. Either we're going to come back and test this quickly, zip, test it, and then continue the leg to the upside, or you're going to get bounced back up to somewhere here, somewhere here. You're going to get bounced up to somewhere here. And then come back down to form the divergence to then go up. So it's also looking good. Render, it's a very great opportunity to buy at these levels. Let's look at Bonk. So uh, Bonk on the weekly chart, not looking good, but with all these weekly closes, when they close like this, anytime you can see even here. If you look at these ones here, close, pretty red. What happened? You bounce all the way back up, then you continue the leg down. This one as well, go back up, leg down. Then you close this one, and then this one was a fully engulfed red, green. So you can see we engulfed the whole body, and then we came down slightly, and then continue the leg to the upside. So here you would expect something similar. You would expect that there will be a bounce, maybe to test somewhere around the 207. You can expect a bounce back up to here before. If we do get something like this on the weekly chart again, then you can expect us to be going higher. So I'd expect a small bounce, maybe to somewhere there between here and here, somewhere there, and then come back down, or alternatively come back down, create a divergence, and continue the leg to the upside. So that's what we're seeing on Bonk at the moment. If you bring it to the daily chart, again, we've exceeded this pink candle. So normally when I see these candles, I like to buy. So buy at the bottom, buy slightly lower, you do really well most of the time. Especially when it's been falling for a while, as you can see here, it's been falling from 25 all the way to 18.9. that it's a great opportunity to kind of get yourself in the game. And if you even look at it on a scale, that is a fall, that is a fall, and now you have another one here. And this is if this creates a divergence on the daily chart, then most likely you're going to go up rather than continue the leg to the downside. So the close is going to be important. If you close green on the daily at midnight, you may pull back slightly and continue the leg to the upside. If you close red, it's still an opportunity, I would say, that we are not far off from the bottom. You may go down slightly. And I also have a trend line here, which is tracking the basis. So from here to here, from here to there. So you touch this or go slightly lower, you'll be going back up the other way, unless you have a full firm close with volume through through this trend line. So it's not far off in terms of the fall on Bonk. So Bonk looking like time to start stacking some and putting away. And then let's move on and have a look. We've got Pendle as well, which we want to have a look at. So Pendle on the weekly chart. Let's see what Pendle is doing. So Pendle's had a good run all the way from $1 all the way up to $6. This is amazing. And you can see here it also did the same from 181 all the way to $5, to $7. So we're doing higher. So, since it got to this point here, it's been so it got here, here, here. We came back here, double bottom. We've gone here. It's not looking the strongest, I would say, Pendle, and potentially you might get it crumbling. Um, but if you bring it to the daily, because all you've got is a drop here, and this is our second drop. And normally with second drops, you can have a quite a strong bounce to the other side. So I won't be surprised. I won't be surprised if we end up bouncing all the way back up to the top here again to take the liquidity sitting at the tops here, before maybe you go down some more. There's a pink candle of interest here, which at some point will go below, which is sitting at what? $3.10. So that is something and that lines up with this trend line as well. So you'll be expecting the pendle will come below here, will come below the 310 at some point. Very likely, very in the coming week or so, I would expect it to come below this interest zone, which is around the 310. So that's what we're seeing on pendle. Most likely it comes down some more. Um, all the way down here into the trend line, and then hopefully it should have some momentum to go up because it's done quite a good reasonable move. And there's some divergences as well here between here and here. So here and here, there's a divergence as well. Same or similar to how this one and this one as well. There's a divergence between this here and here as well, which is obviously playing out. So that's Pendle. And I think those are, let me see if there's another coin. There's Say. Yes, there's Say. I wanted to have a look at Say. Say as well. It's one of the coins that we're tracking. So Say. So Say is also looking okay. It's looking okay-ish to me. But I think ultimately, I think we might test the 200. We might test the 200, which is still at 25.14 before we get going properly. And then let's move on and look at CRV, see what CRV is doing. So CRV is also likely to also go below 6282. So I'd expect a slight low, maybe to about 60, and then continue the leg to the upside. There's still a lot of liquidity sitting down here that can be taken. And also I've got this trend line here, which we're tracking as well. It comes all the way from here. So, you know, and touches this one. I think it's been moved slightly. There we go. It's in the right place now. So cut across here. Oh, hold on. Yeah, so that's where it's supposed to be. Cut across here and cut across there and cut across here. So yeah, somewhere around the 60 It will be an area where I think it could potentially find support, and then we'll be on our way because you've done a level one there, level two, and level three. We are in level three. So time to really look at opportunities for going back the other way. And then we also look at optimism. Optimism. So OP is on the weekly chart. Let's look at a weekly chart here and see what the weekly chart. So you're going to close red, so you're going to go lower, but I'd expect us to come back into this. So I'd expect to come back into this candle here. So could be somewhere here before you go down, or you could go down straight away and continue the leg to the upside. So those are the two options on optimism. We'll go lower than this candle into next week. So if you bring it into 4 hours, although there's some promising signs, so likely you're going to go slightly into all this liquidity sitting here. Maybe take some of that liquidity before um, you have a drop here, and I like it, and a divergence between here and here. So you'd expect us to go up slightly, go and test some of the maybe test this one here. Here we'll test the 200 SMA and EMA likely before you potentially come back and complete your final leg to the downside. So I think that's all I've got. Maybe we have a look at Injective. Don't want to make the video too long. Injective is also looking, so we had one base there, another base here. I like to see another one. So I'd like to see another one, final one like that. We have another big selling volume that comes down, and we have our divergence, and then we go. So I think we can go up, and I think we'll probably go and test back up the here somewhere around $13. It's possible where we take all the liquidity around this one here before that happens. So injective on 4 hours looking good, but if you go on the weekly, you're likely to close red. So when you close red, you go down slightly lower, unless of course we reverse all this candle before midnight, which is a big ask. It's not impossible, but it's a big ask. I wouldn't expect that to happen. So that's injective as well. Arbitrum, we looked at Arbitrum the last time, so let's have a look. So Arbitrum is also on the weekly chart. We're going to close red, and there is an interest candle here. So I think Arbitrum potentially will come back to base, back to about 2.7. So let's put a line there. It potentially comes to about 2.7 and lock it in. Um, Close red, you bounce back up to retest the middle of the KC channel. So maybe somewhere around 4.5, and then continue the leg to the downside. Triple bottom, continue the leg to the upside. So that's Arbitrum, and I think that's all that we wanted to cover. I wanted to cover Asta because there's been a lot of talk about Asta. So let's see what Asta is doing. So on this particular setup, he's done two levels to the upside, and I think it will go higher. They'll push it much higher than that. So let's look at it on 4 hours. On 4 hours, so here we've dropped one level, we've dropped another level, and we are creating some divergences here. So we could come all the way back up here, back to 226. If you go on the daily is not closed. But if you close like this, we close in lower closes, and but there's a rejection at the bottom of the candle, and the weekly will close green. So you may come back into this slightly and continue the leg up, similar to what we did here, where you came back down slightly and then you went up. So I'd expect Asta to go slightly higher than $2, the $2 43 that I formed, probably maybe $2.50. So that's Asta as well. That's all I've got, guys. Have a great week, and I wish you all the best, and God bless. Ta-ta.